purpose of this interview is to really document the history and the foundations of the arts at Lucy School. So we'll have other interviews where we'll talk about the history of the buildings and the property and your beginnings. But the purpose of this one is to talk about the arts. So all of our questions will have to do with the arts. So here's the first question. Why did you decide to have an arts-based school?
We wanted to show that the arts are powerful learning mediums.
Well, a little history on that. I
Uh-huh.
mean, Vicky worked in that field for a long time. She spent some time in England, you know, studying the process drama. And then in New York, worked with Head Start kids, you know, implementing the approach. And I think, I mean, the literature can show and whatever, that it's a very powerful technique. I mean, it involved kids in very unusual and exciting ways. And she has always wanted to implement that, to make it happen. Spend a lot of years and ultimately with the Wiltrap Center for Early Learning for the Arts, and was one of the founding artists there. And the whole idea there was bring artists into the schools. And that is wonderful. It's not enough, okay, but it was wonderful. Always talked about how disappointed she was that a lot of this work, which was very good work, people were very excited. They left very impressed and renewed, you know, about what they can do in their classrooms. They went back to their schools, and after a while, it faded out because there was no institutional support. There was no coherent way that it can be done. So she had thought a lot, maybe wish a little school that was really completely focused on the arts as a medium for learning, for teaching, would be appropriate. And that's how the idea of the arts came in.
Awesome. You both used the word powerful, that the arts are powerful. So can you describe what you mean by powerful? Why are they powerful with kids?
They really help them learn. Yeah.
I can remember sitting under the apple tree with you when the idea of the school was just a start, and you told us a story about Lance the giraffe.
Yes.
And so I always think about you with the giraffe.
Oh, that's nice.
Do you remember that story?
Yes.
Do you want to tell it to us a little bit?
Lance the giraffe was eating apples under the tree, and he wanted to learn how to fly. He jumped up on a hill, but he broke his leg, and then he ended up in the pond, and he needed somebody to pull him out.
And what did we learn from, you use this, so that's the sign language, right?
Giraffe.
For giraffe, I remember that.
Yeah.
And we were sitting under the apple tree.
I don't remember
The very
that.
beginning.
And
Yes, you had like I saw it in the paper, you had an ad that you were starting the school, and so you just invited us for stories. So I think you did it 2 different times.
And you limped after he broke his leg.
Yes.
You limped around the tree.
Yes.
And, so it was basically acting out the story and involving the kids into the story. I mean, that's the first step, you know, in that. Now, I must say that this is not my field. Okay, I've never taught arts-based stuff. So as I talk about this, but everything I learned from Vicky. I learned from observing what happened at the school, seeing what's happening. And powerful is really the word that comes to mind when I see the impact it has on young children. It just incredible changes. And we have heard those things from parents, you know, who say, you know, my kid is coming home with all kinds of stories. He's sharing things. You know, he's excited about things. That is where part of the power is.
Right.
Yeah.
So we talked about the power of story. And when the school started, it was really an early childhood center. And Vicki had a lot of work with Wolf Trap and stories and process drama with young children. So can you tell me about, in particular, the start of the school with arts and young preschool children?
Well, that was the initial idea.
Mm-hmm.
It was to demonstrate the power
right.
of the methodology.
Mm-hmm.
And it was young children.
Mm-hmm.
That was Vicki's primary interest,
mm-hmm.
preschool children through kindergarten.
Right.
So the school was set up as a preschool kindergarten. I still have some letterhead.
Right.
That's not gone. And that was the focus.
Mm-hmm.
That was the focus.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really magical. I mean, it was just an extraordinary
mm-hmm.
place and
mm-hmm.
whatever. So the idea was to demonstrate it at that level.
Mm-hmm.
But within 3 years, when the school finally was beginning to have a good, stable enrollment
mm-hmm.
and growing enrollment, actually, we started receiving a lot of requests. And parents were asking, well, what our kids, they need this
mm-hmm.
as they grow up. Where do they go after this? And there was this buzz, we need to do something else. In our case, it really meant a significant change because the space was just the barn.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't much more you can do at the barn besides, preschool,
mm-hmm.
So that we started thinking, and I think part of the argument was, well, if it's working so well for the younger kids, why not the older
mm-hmm.
kids? And by the way, second grade is still early childhood education. We can
and maybe third grade.
Yeah, maybe we can do early child, and maybe third grade.
Right.
And that's how, and we jumped in
mm-hmm.
as we usually do
mm-hmm.
with stuff like that, and we didn't just get some temporary buildings or
mm-hmm.
whatever. We had to build a top-notch,
mm-hmm.
LEED certified type of building. So we jumped into that. And if you see how it is built, it was supposed to be the first 2 classes, what's now first and second grade,
mm-hmm.
was kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
They were combined. It was one big space with 2 separate rooms and whatever. And second and third.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, first and second. And that's all we're going to do. Well, even before that was finished, there was talk about how about third and fourth
mm-hmm.
and fifth.
Mm-hmm.
And a few years later that happened. We went to fifth. And then, of course, why not middle school? Do you think it might work at middle school? Well,
one of the things that I always tell families when they visit is that Lucy School, as an independent school, is very unique in its origins, that many schools start as an elementary school and then as a, an afterthought or a feeder into the elementary program, they add add preschool
mm-hmm.
and then maybe add middle school on the top, but that our early childhood, those early preschool years, it really grew from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still really where a lot of the inspiration and the work comes, and it grew up from there. But that part is really important.
Right.
Over the years, what were some of our favorite projects or focuses that we did? Do you have any favorites?
Oh, when Susan Zeta was here and children could fly. Yeah.
That was a really powerful project.
Yes.
So she was a playwright and a friend of yours,
yes.
and she was a playwright for plays for young children,
yes.
correct? And she came and had an idea for a play about Amelia Earhart. Mm-hmm. And so she came to the school. You both met a lot, and then she came to the school and got inspiration from the kids. Do you remember some of the ways that she got words and inspiration from our children?
She had them in a swing.
No, oh, that's right. And we wrote down their words.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
just a little background on that,
Yes,
which I think
please.
is important as to how some of the most exciting things have happened in the school. Vicky and Susan knew each other, and they had coffee at the conference. And Susan mentioned her play and what she was planning to do, which sounded really exciting. And Vicky said, "Why don't you bring this to Lucy School? Why don't you come to Lucy School? Our kids are so sophisticated about this stuff. They can get into it and they can generate ideas. They can allow you to test some of those things." And that's why she came here. She
From
came
a conversation.
Here and she was just blown away by the children and their ability to really become involved and participate. And that's how it grew.
And young children and the older children as well. That was the year I was teaching 3rd grade, and we did a whole study of flight. So I remember when the play was actually then workshopped with us and then performed, that you could hear some of our kids' voices. Yes. Remember when we were at the Kennedy Center and they had the clips of our kids talking about when they were in the swing or when they were, learning to fly a paper airplane and figuring out the flight lift and all of those aeronautical terms as well. And a lot of visual artwork came from that. Something that I found in the office in the Red Barn was you tasked us with having the kids write like promotional posters for When She Had Wings, which was the name of the play. It eventually turned into that. I don't think it was always that. It was something else.
Right. It was Aviatrix.
Yes. Thank you. And that's what that Aviatrix is what was on the posters, so that the kids could lend their ideas and images to even that, like the promotional part of it. That was, and then we got to see them. Well, we got to see them. We went to Imagination Stage first, right? And then we got to hear the actors just speak it, and then we got to see it.
The reading.
Perform the reading. Then we went to the Kennedy Center, and then they brought it here, right? Because it was performed in the barn.
No, that was I think that
you're
was
right.
done
Imagination
by,
Stage. We went back.
Rachel Briley's group from North Carolina.
We went back to Imagination Stage and then saw the performance.
Yeah. But the interesting thing there is, and this is part of the impact that things like this have to the kids, they went through the readings and they participated in those, but they also critiqued the scene for what do you call this, the scenery or whatever it is that they do. They said, a 10-year-old kid wouldn't do this.
Right.
We would do this.
That's right.
They had to change all that.
Yeah, the character she had that a tree house. Right.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they really influenced.
They did. And what they liked and what because her character was 10.
Yes.
And what a 10-year-old would say or feel about this.
Right. And to me, this is when I say powerful. This is that. I mean, what do we expect? What do we want from those kids? Okay, we want them to. I mean, these are difficult times to be growing up.
Yes.
I mean, we want them to be able to navigate an increasingly difficult and not very hospitable world.
Right.
Okay. I mean, they are going to come to encounter after Lucy School. They're going to encounter a different world, where there's hostility, there is anger, there is whatever. They have to be able to navigate those things and ultimately create their own reality and create their future. That's what we want for kids to do. That's why we want them to be imaginative. We want them to be collaborative. We want them to do that. And when you look at something like that play, how it was involved in that, you see the kids actually involved, actively involved. They're beginning to own the story, and they're beginning to shape the story, which is a way of shaping how your life is. And if you're learning and being comfortable that you can do that, you're not just completely controlled by outside influences. To me, that is the core of it.
Thank you. It made me, my next question is really about process trauma. So that we are talking about
Got you.
the Susan Cedar project, which had process towards a product. So it had elements of really that process and that language and that experience, like you were talking about the swing. But another thing that we do at Lucy School is process drama. So, and that's a you question. So
Yes.
tell us about process
Well,
drama.
process drama is when you have a story and you act it out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see at the end how different it is from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. My Pony was always a very powerful
yes,
story,
I
right?
love My
That's
Pony.
one of the beginning ones
Uh-huh.
that I learned from you and Sarah.
Yes. thank you.
You and I spent time together when my children were in preschool with. Now I'm just gonna play. The dragon one. My father's dragon.
Yeah.
So, and I think that story was very fun. You were Alley Cat with your mask on, and we took a journey. And so the power of the story is important as we're acting out the different challenges the characters take in that story. And the other thing that has always been powerful with the way that we do process drama at Lucy School is that there is the teacher in a role, but something in a model that has always worked well at Lucy School is that the teacher is also in a role to support the other teacher. And I think all along, something we have learned from you at Lucy School is the power of mentors in that creative work.
Yes.
So I don't know if you remember this, but we were doing My Father's Dragon together, and Ellie was in the class. My daughter Ellie was in the 4-year-old class, and you said to me, we were on the boat. We were taking the trip to the island, Lollipop Island, maybe. I can't remember the name of the island. And you said, fall off the boat. And I was like, what? And you're like, just trust me. So I went, yeah! And then Ellie came like leaping from the other side and like jumped off the boat with me. And I remember really learning from your guidance and your tutelage and your mentorship how to work and trust the process. And it was really fun. So we talked about Mud Pony. We talked about My Father's Dragon. Are there any other ones that come to mind that you thought were important that we did?
Gosh.
Well,
Yeah,
I can
please.
share a couple that, well, some of the basic stuff of this process is to involve the kids in problem solving.
Yes.
And, just creating something ultimately. The keep on tree.
Oh, yes.
And that, because I ended up acting as the lumberjack or whatever, in it, I remember it well. But seeing the kids actually moving from the role of being the animals and the birds and whatever in the forest, and this is their habitat, suddenly somebody coming in to change it and destroy it, and having to figure out, now, wait a minute, you need to see our side of it. You need to understand this. And together, hopefully, we can come up with a solution as to how your needs can be met, but our habitat is not really affected. That to me was really what a wonderful way to involve young kids in. So that's
Thank you.
That's one.
That's a good one. I was going to say Quadoma Doma.
Oh,
as well.
Quadoma Doma is wow.
And that's probably one of the ones most recently that you've worked at Lucy School with. So we did that one maybe 3 years ago. And Kofi was here. Kofi. Yes, Kofi was here and did drumming with us as well. And that was a story. Do you remember that story? Is that South African story?
I think so. Yeah.
Where there's a monster in the village, right? And the people have never known fear.
Right.
I'm remembering as I'm telling you. And so he sings out his big tongue, and all the
jump on it.
And then what happens?
They
swallow him. And they have to. And I remember years ago when we were in preschool together that we would have they would go through all the organs, right? Like they would dance out their feelings in the heart.
Right.
And we decorated the silo with that pink fabric.
They danced out anger in the stomach.
and then eventually they work together and they
Climb up
sing.
the backbone.
They climb up the backbone and then come back out the mouth.
Yeah.
And it was a way of
They slid out his
exploring. Oh,
tears.
and the tears too.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about the tears.
Yeah.
I remember the laughing, not the tears.
And then Quadoma Doma shrunk.
Oh, that's right. As they learned how to deal with their feelings.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
that
he
was a really
became
powerful one.
somebody they can put in
They
their
put
pocket
him in their
and
pocket.
have him with them.
Yes,
Right.
when you
Yeah.
need them.
Yeah, I think what's exciting to me for that is that they were, by going through his body, they were experiencing the feelings that he had. So there was this scary
They were blowing hither and thither in his lungs.
Yes. Oh, that's right, with the wind.
Yeah. So they were beginning to understand that monster very intimately, but also acting out, those feelings, in important ways and all that. Yeah.
So what do you hope that the legacy of Lucy's art space program should be? What do you hope will continue on?
Well, for me, I don't want us to lose that beauty and the power, of the process. I mean, it's a unique opportunity that our kids have, to do these things. And it would be wonderful if we can really become more sophisticated at it, increasingly more sophisticated, and that the older children are able to integrate it, into what they do as much as they can.
How about the campus environment? So you brought that up about environmental stewardship. How does this particular place, and we can have another talk about this beautiful piece of land, but how did this campus environment and the buildings were built very purposely and carefully to really enhance the arts learning experience? So how does this place and the way that you imagined it enhance the arts learning at Lucy School?
Well, when we first thought of the idea, it was, remember, we had retired, okay? Or we were. I mean, Vicky was still, I think, a tenured professor somewhere, but decided to give that up. But I had retired after many years of whatever. And we were going to be comfortable, okay? We just looking for doing stuff of our own. Vicky was the one that was more anxious and whatever. Well, what else am I going to do after this? And again, it was a spontaneous decision, very fast decision. 9/11 happened 4 months into my retirement. And we looked at each other and said, we cannot fly planes, we cannot whatever, but there is something we can do. And I asked you, how about that school you have always wanted to put together?
I said, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
This is true.
Well,
this happened. Vicky's way.
The real question was, Vicky, this is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to be, we're going to be stepping out of retirement, and it's going to be a lot of work. Are you sure you can get this done? She said, just find me a building and I'll do it. And we did look for buildings. Actually, right next to the post office, there used to be a crispy thing or whatever it was called. We looked at that because it was closing down.
Right.
So we could have been there. Okay. And then a realtor that I contact. And he said, I may be bringing a property up for sale pretty soon. Let me show it to you. And we came and we stood at the gate over there and we looked up. We couldn't go on the property. And I brought Vicky over to look at it, and she fell in love with it. Said, this will be much better. And that's how we got here. It was not ready for this kind of work, but, what was your question again?
My question was, that's okay, the campus environment. So it was kind of just happened here.
That's right.
You found the property, but then the buildings, right? It's beginning with the red barn, and then the green building, and then the changes over here on this side of campus with the milk barn and the milk house. But they were really carefully designed, and I think that's a really important part about Lucy School, is that you carefully designed the learning environment to be part of this property. So you want to talk a little bit about that? That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, well, the first target, of course, was the barn.
Right.
And Vicky devoted a tremendous amount of time there. She invited people that she knew who were, I just forgot the name of the woman that came over, and she's quoted actually in some of our website stuff, who is an environmentalist and
wasn't Mary Rifkin?
Very Rifkin.
Okay, all right.
She came over and
spent an educator as well,
yes,
right?
And she spent some time with us, and she was wonderful. To be able to see the environmental part. I was interested in the farm because I wanted a farm.
Right.
I mean, the name, the corporate name was Eco Farm. It wasn't Lucy School. It was Eco Farm doing business as Lucy School, and then Lucy School took over.
Right.
Okay. My hope was that, we'll set up this little preschool for Vicky. Vicky can be busy. I can do my own stuff. Okay, well, that's what
here we are, 23 years later.
But yes, there was a tremendous. I mean, I was just amazed by the type of thinking that went through. I mean, every little nook, how that could be used.
Right.
I mean, Vicky already knew that she wanted the little nooks. She wanted the little alone spaces.
Right.
She wanted places for the teachers, to do certain. I mean, she already had it all in her head.
Right.
And it was integrated into the barn. And then, of course, that followed with the green building, after that.
So there are a lot of particular pieces in your design. So there's a lot of natural light, right? The use of natural materials and really muted colors. And our art studio as well, and the music room, which is really, as you walk into the green building, it just.
Well, Miss Eva's room was the original music room.
This is
remember,
true.
Right?
I do remember.
That's why it's enclosed with the glass and all that. But,
We've had challenges over the years, and what are the opportunities that we have had over the years, and that you see moving forward? Especially with the arts in Lucy School, what are the opportunities that you want for us and for the community?
I would really very much like to see, there's a lot we can say about outdoors, okay? But in terms of the arts, I think it would be wonderful if our approach, our process and whatever, becomes, I don't know if it's a matter of documentation or a matter of training or whatever, but becomes available to others. It becomes more known, understood, and accepted. I mean, I remember at the very beginning, I remember one family, it was a mom, never met the dad, I don't think, with two kids, two little girls, who came over, said, I mean, they're having a great time, but are we preparing them for school? Are we preparing for the academics? I mean, we have neighbors, friends of theirs who know they can rattle out every single continent. They know all the continents. Mine don't know the continents. And I remember it was one of my inspirational things was, Yes, but your kids have visited. They have been in Africa. They have been in the rainforest.
Right.
They have experienced all those things.
Right.
That is what you really want. They can
Right.
always memorize
Right.
continents.
Right.
But that is the experience that you really want for them. And I think that is what makes such a big difference between a strictly academic program and something like this.
And the power, but back to that power word, right? The power of the arts.
Yeah. There is so much to be excited about this place. I was telling Dan as we were walking down and seeing the kids playing, just to see the kids outside, outdoors, playing and having that integrated with their daily schoolwork, and then being able to see. I think it's nice to see some of the things that Christine was doing, where she doing those productions, whatever. Right. It's really nice. Those kids are having great time. Right. It's a great experience and whatever. But to me, the most exciting ones is where the kids have actually produced something. They have really gotten involved into building something, and making it happen. Right. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else you want to say, Vicki?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. We'll have more questions for you next time.
All right.